Got a bad stomach bug over the holidays, but I got over it now, thankfully. Before December, I was shown over in the Strange Rebel Gaming community how to make something called TikTok gummy bears all over the internet with this. Get a container with a lid, put gummy bears inside, preferably Haribo, which I had. Submerge the bears in a clear soda, like 7-Up or Sprite. I had plenty of both because, again, I was sick. You just get that kind of soda at those times. Close the lid and leave the container in the fridge overnight with your submerged gummies. You will see in the morning that the gummy bears will have doubled in size. Now we're going to drain the bears. I had this funnel and tall glass for that. Waste not, want not. Now place the bears in parchment paper or, failing that, a non-stick cookie sheet like the one I'm using. Then freeze them for 3 hours. Sounds like this. I wish it were a Shokan from Mortal Kombat so I could hold the phone and be able to show Khan more of the process. Well, the freezing only happened to parts of the gummy bears. Did I drain them too much? Not everybody doing something new gets it on the first try, I guess. So instead of scrapping that video, I can use that to segue another first-timer in making RPGs for salutations! After the bare-bones middle-of-the-road RPG experience that was Heirs of the Kings, the next title on my list gives us a cool tank to overworld around in for Chrome Wolf. No backstory opening at the start, for which these games is something unusually new. We're left to see scenes play out instead of the usual opening crawl. This game has us working for the Lenoir Empire, fighting against the Unicornian army, and our characters are tasked with infiltrating a nearby village and battling the rebel army. Any backstory is done through dialogue with characters instead of just like an opening crawl of text or like a credits. So we learn His Grace promised the Unicornians their freedom after a civil war.
The race war starts now!
Corporal Abel Torrey, his partners in battle, Cruz and Graham, set out for the battle that had already had me thinking, we might not start out as the good guys in this one. Quickly confirmed when the village we're off to infiltrate is nearly torched to the ground and our military superiors have guns on unarmed civilians to ensure they're not mining this rare elementite material and using it to fund the rebels. Sus. Am I using that word right? I have only 2 to 3 sessions of Among Us under my belt. That's all I can really say for the plot without revealing too much, because this story goes way deeper than most. We have enemies to equip to act as our elements of water, lightning, and fire. 5 military classes to choose and rank from, each class getting its own certain weapons to equip. You have SP for class skills and magic, which can be restored with instays. AP, or armed points, which are required to use your arms and weapon skills that do not restore at ins. They restore using normal attacks and kills. They have like a little gun icon with them. They usually come out faster than spells do, so there's the rub with that, but spells are usually more powerful to compensate, so a little bit of strategy there. What also isn't recoverable in ins is said tank you get to drive around the overworld in. Most normal enemy attacks won't put a dent in it, but it needs energy just to fire its main weapon. But there's a charge command, and it does restore energy on its own while moving, but only part shops and repair kits can heal said tank's damage. Except when you can equip one and use the tank's entire command to heal, which also costs energy during a fight. So you're constantly, managing energy bars with that one. What tanks also don't do is level up like your characters do, so they need new parts to beef up. They also don't win you any class points to power up your military or job classes when you win battles with them. Also, the fact they don't fit inside any caverns or dungeons you'll be exploring, so at some point, I just kinda ignored using this unless I was forced to, which I didn't like. More on that later. The usual point system these games usually have is not garnered after every few battles like most of these games. You have to go to cash in the amount of battles that you fought and won to get these in your base of operations, and then you can spend those points gained for some side dungeons, stat-ups, and rare equipables. The only trophies this game has listed are just completing the mission, stories, and side quests. Sounds simple, right? Well, remember how tanks don't level up and get stronger as you need to find certain parts just to get them to par? I legitimately could not advance past tank-based boss fights in either main or side quest. Because, of course, in both those cases, without spoiling too much of the game's plot again, you get the tank to act as a airship, but you don't get to use it to go anywhere fun that might have helped get the platinum. Oh, no. Even with what little help I could get from RPG Insanity about a hidden village, the game itself never out loud tells you this. I mean, maybe if I pestered NPCs and found this hidden village on my own, somehow that way? But even with that little help, I still couldn't get past either boss fight. I don't recall ever mentioning this in any of my other reviews. But these Kemco RPGs do come with added DLC to make them easier. They usually come like, experience times 3, gold pieces times 2, damage times 2. I have never had to break down and spend real-life money DLC to do this before until this game. I finally threw up my hands at spending an extra $4.99 just so my characters could do double damage. So I could at least say I beat the game and finally finish this damn review. But as far as platinuming, 33 episodes in, I had to throw in the towel on this one. RPG Insanity, nothing. There's like at least one person who asked like in 2 forums was like, I need help finding these side missions, and I have no clue. I wouldn't even know where to start looking. Like most of these games kind of hold your hand or you can at least look up something to find it on the site. No, nothing. I looked all over, no avail. Well, the pacing of the game is slow than most. God, there's no run button in this game. It feels even more retro-inspired than usual with this decision. Especially with the game constantly peppering you with random encounters. You'll still find you have to grind a bit just to get anywhere in this game. I mean, I usually do, and by then my characters outstrip any tank I was driving because I was designated 5 heavy hitters instead of just 1 tank that I had to keep managing meters for. Also, every game I've reviewed up until this one, I could increase the map size of any dungeon I was in so I could at all times know exactly where I'm going, or at least have a better understanding. Not this game! Which resulted in me getting hopelessly lost in some of the later dungeons. A lot! And there's so little to no different music in this game, which only compounds to my frustration. Sephirothic's stories consider yourself replaced as the worst of these Kemco RPGs I've done on this series. That game I could at least finish and platinum with aid from RPG Insanity. Which is a bit of a shame, because the story and ending really something radically different and definitely help this game stand out amongst the other Kemco games that I've reviewed. They say war is hell. This game definitely feels like that personified. First game I've played from a new developer called Magitech, with a C but no H. I'm holding out that they do better in the future, but man, this was brutal. At least with Sephirothic's stories, I was doing that game and typed out a full review when I was doing, this catching up with Kemco on the regular. This game stopped the so-called presses into 2025. I started this game back in October! But I was curious enough to finish this game to see what story they were cooking up. But again, miffed I had to spend money just to accomplish that. Thankfully, tried and true EXE Creatives back at the helm for my next review of a game called Sword of Elpisia, so do join me for that. Man. That'll do for this episode of Catching Up with Kemco. Again, I see some of the other games listed. I don't know if they're on PSN, and again, my order's all out of whack, so I can't really, do a super, detailed rating anymore. Hopefully this won't take me a long time to complete. With that said, take care, and thanks for watching.